A leadership team can buy tools in weeks, but it can lose trust in minutes. In 2026, the deciding factor is often not the model, the platform, or the budget. It's whether leaders can think clearly, speak plainly, and align teams under pressure. This matters now because AI compasses cycles increasingly visible and raises the cost of misunderstanding across customers. Regulations boards also. Your communication is now audit adjacent. It shapes risk, adoption, and outcomes. Pallavi Sameer Sharma works on the intersection of technology, strategy, and growth by helping leaders translate complex decisions, narratives, and measurable execution. Technology enables outcomes, cybersecurity protects, I, growth proves ROI, strategy governs decisions. Before we get into the topic, let's dive in. Let's have a small short video about power of knowing. Welcome to Power of Knowing Forums podcast series. Pallavi started. Uh, let's welcome Pallavi onto the podcast session and dive into the topic. Pallavi, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prem Kumar. And it's a privilege to be a part of this prestigious platform. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Pallavi. A small intro about yourself because we've done a podcast in 2025 Feb and now we are back after a year. I just wanted the audience to know about what you've been doing and it gives an insight before the topic is discussed.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
So, I'm Pallavi and I'm a globally certified soft skills and communication trainer. And I have worked with several edtech platforms, have been guiding, mentoring, and transforming corporate professionals across the globe. So, till now, I got the privilege of transforming more than 1,500 corporate professionals worldwide. And I'm a writer also.
great, Pallavi. Thank you for that, Pallavi. Now, topic next, dive into the topic and want to understand why leaders say communication is a soft skill. Okay, what is the business cost of getting it wrong?
Very interesting question. So now this is communication skill. Is that one 360-degree skill? It's a comprehensive umbrella skill that covers and encapsulates everything under it. And because whatever expertise you have, whatever knowledge you have, whatever information you have, the main thing is how are you able to convey that expertise and knowledge to other person, to the other end. And herein lies the vitality of communication skill because it builds bridge between you and other people. So definitely it's a important and pivotal skill everywhere. And getting it wrong or if we underrate it somehow, so definitely it is not going to scale up uh, our professional growth ahead. So that is the importance of communication in lives.
No, I think what you're saying is most of the issues that we face is because of miscommunication, right? And uh,
Exactly.
what we say, versus what the other person understands is a bigger challenge. Now, I'll take one reference of one Mr. David Matthew. I've been talking about this person for a very long time. David Matthew was my superior in when I was part of Wipro, right? So he used to tell Prem, if you want to have clarity on what others are speaking, right, you should stop talking and start listening. Okay,
Right.
and the way things get communicated, right? It when you interrupt, somebody wanted to tell something and it will go into something else. So what you should do is listen to the people in the meeting throughout. You should be the last person who should be talking. And
Exactly.
if you are able to get everybody's points and you note them out saying that stakeholder A said this, stakeholder B said this, stakeholder C said this, and you can note down. And when you summarize, people will start listening to you because you have the knowledge everybody shared, the pain points everybody shared, and that is where you can communicate much better, is what he taught me, right? Now, with that, if communication is the only human skill that AI can't replace, what exactly do you mean by communication itself?
Well, communication is not just speaking well or speaking fluently, it is far beyond it. It is more about alignment, modification of expression, and working on the clarity part. So, alignment, modification, and clarity. Alignment, yes, I mean how quickly you adapt to the context, situation, and purpose. These things must be taken into consideration before speaking anything in the professional world. Second is clarity. So everything in this world is working for clarity,
Yeah.
right? Outcomes or problems or purpose. So everything ends with clarity, and everything you can derive by bringing clarity. And also the modification part. Modification of what? Modification of certain very many things, like first upon your human skills, that is empathy, your emotions play a pivotal role in modifying communication. And that's why it should have the seasoning of emotions and empathy. You have to look within before you finally do a decision, before you finally make up your mind to speak something. So modification, alignment, and clarity are the key factors of communication. And it is in one liner we can say, when your message, intention, and purpose are well aligned in sync, that is how the communication works well.
Well, we got it. So now what we are saying is, uh, you should pass the message clearly, right? That's the first point that you're telling, right?
Yes.
Now, where do executives confuse speaking well or driving decisions?
Basically, speaking well, we can understand it simply means, yes, being articulate, being confident, impressive, using better vocabulary. But that is only one part, on the surface part of communication. When it comes about the driving decisions, the main factor or component that helps you in driving decision is clarity. And clarity requires an infiltrated approach, right? A sieved approach, infiltrated approach. You infiltrate, you do away what is not needed, and you include what is needed. And that decision happens within few seconds. And that's how this is a skill that needs a proper guided. Some people have innate, but definitely we are humans and we have to be learner. We need to adapt, because you never know what is coming later on, what is beyond this point. So definitely you need to adapt, unlearn, de-learn, and relearn and reframe. So definitely an infiltrated approach works well in infiltrating what is not needed and what is needed to achieve the desired outcome in this situation with this audience.
I think what we are saying today is you need speaking well is what is the required skill for communicating with the technology. Also, you need to be giving clear messages, whether it is AI. Also, today you have to ask the right question. Otherwise, it will throw you so many information that you'll have to rephrase correctly to get what you want. Now, what are the three observable behaviors that separate high impact communication from average ones? Because communication is done by everybody. How do you communicate that has a high impact is what we want to understand.
First, you need to be adaptive. So,
Hmm.
adaptability is that one component which helps you everywhere, whether it is personal space or professional space. So, and secondly, authenticity. I mean, be yourself, be more human. Now, in today's world, we are inundated with information, we are over flooded with information. But here is a fine line difference, fine line we have to put before being inundated and being authentic. So we have to be one needs to be authentic, and one needs to have the capacity to take ownership, right? So that is another important factor of sound communication pattern, and also how much you are well aligned with the context, purpose, and outcome that is being discussed. So basically, AI is a I can't negate the role of AI in today's world because AI is integrated everywhere into the system. And in one of the recent posts, I said that we are today surrounded more by AI than oxygen, right? So actually, you can you cannot completely you cannot completely overlook the role of AI, but you must have the mindset how to use it effectively. Definitely, we use AI and it saves a lot of time and energy sometimes, most of the time, not sometimes. But when it comes about the communication part of getting the desired outcome done, here comes the role of real human connection. So I think authenticity is one trait, and also taking ownership and alignment, how much alignment you have, how much flexible you are in your approach. These are some of the observable behaviors of impactful communicators. AI definitely is a good assistant, but it doesn't help you to connect. So for connection and
I
trust,
was
you have to be human.
I was listening to one of the healthcare podcast where
Okay.
how is AI helping healthcare. So they were saying, see, everything AI will tell, but the operation has to be done by the doctor.
Doctor, correct. Yes, very true.
So AI can tell you that it has to be done like this, but a
Mm.
person needs to be done. And they were saying, okay, now you have AI to automate everything, right? You can automate a mailing system, you can automate a system for approvals, you can automate something for buying. If you add your credit card or your debit card saying that this is the limit set and anything that comes under this limit, you're authorized to buy. And I think Samsung has done that fridge, which is linked to Big Basket. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
You have to list out all the things, and if the things are not there in the fridge, it'll order and get it. Okay, so
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
situation that we are going with AI's adoption. We don't have. We want to see the time that we can save for better work is what we are looking at having AI. So many people feel it's a replacement. No, it is not a replacement. I would like to add as many times as in our podcast saying that AI is an enabler. So you need to treat AI as an
Yes.
enabler, right? And the way you see is you can use those metrics. You can look at the cycle time, what we can stake or alignment also can be done using AI. So many things that you can do using AI can draft words. It can't trust on the call.
Can't build can't build connection and trust. And again, now for generative AI, everybody is needing
Hmm.
experts. Why? Because again, this communication skill is
Yeah,
irreplaceable. uh, that's why, and there is a cutthroat competition going on between AI and humans, but ultimately humans will be humans. And still AI, as you pointed out, that AI processes the inputs. It is not aware of the target audience, it is not aware of the purpose that you are going to solve, it is not aware of the different layers of emotions that is going on in the mind,
yeah,
and what conflicting situations are
yeah.
there. There comes the human part that can make a
Exactly.
difference, huge difference.
What is the fastest way to diagnose a communication gap in a leadership team?
Okay. Yeah, that is just like a disease has symptoms, right?
Okay.
So, poor, yeah. So, communication cavities can be easily diagnosed. First upon, you can sense the energy in the room.
Hmm.
That is one thing which we humans possess, that sixth
Yeah.
sense.
Great.
Now, yeah, yeah, sixth sense. And secondly, in meetings, there are unclear goals. Meetings are happening, everything is being discussed, but without any outcome. After the meeting gets over, there is no clear cut goal or outcome that people understood under a common platform or under a common umbrella. Second, if there is a too much escalation going on, so it means the ownership is missing somewhere, and people are co-depending on each other for information inputs, for clarification. Again, this is clearly a communication gap. And the costliest signal that happen it when it reaches the customer churn, and that is the costliest cost that we have to pay due to the lack of a proper communication pattern. So communication gaps are visible, are you can feel energy, missing deadlines, outcomes are not achievable, people are not approachable. They are there, but it still that expertise is not approachable. Clear cut thought structure is missing, and conversational gaps are missing, and that's how we can diagnose that there is a communication gap. And communication gaps are rather than being told, it can be sensed more.
Now, your point to that point, I want to understand what are the signals that show up first? Meetings, mails, escalations, or customer churn?
Definitely, first upon, you can apparently it is visible in the meetings, ongoing meetings, the group discussions that is happening, right? There is no synchronous agreement. Uh, there is no clear understanding. People are there, but they have no clarity of the agenda. So meetings are the first apparent signal, because you can spot on by one-on-one human interaction. That is the first point. Second, definitely emails. A lot of blame culture is there, shouldering the responsibilities. And last thing is, yes, it is reaching the penultimate level of customer churn, where it should not. And till that time, the execution part uh, has already gone down. Till the time it reaches the customer base, the execution part is missing, and missing deadlines and codependency on colleagues, these kind of things are happening. Yes. And yeah.
Now, what role usually owns the problem? The CEO, HR, L&D, or functional leaders? Because when we look at dissatisfaction or that customer churn coming from the teams, now where do you see or who owns that problem?
So basically, CEO, they are only there for directions and deciding priorities, right? And when we talk about HR, they are mainly for governance, for talking about the framework, the roles, policies. L&D department is more focused on the training part, not exactly the execution part. They are basically providing the training about decision making and certain other things. But the functional leaders, they are the front runners, right? Uh, on their shoulders, there lies a responsibility of owning. They own the problem. I mean, they are there to resolve it. They are there to handle it. They delegate. They are reminding everyone about the missing deadlines. They are working in sync to achieve the desired outcome within the stipulated time frame. So definitely, they are the main front runner upon whose shoulders actually lie the main crux.
Got it. Right now, what you are saying is it is always reference to one or the other meetings, the way the hygiene of the meeting is conducted, and the decision logs that are taken, and there is no direction. Sorry, I take it. And bringing racy matrix for ownership, right? That's what you said when you say there is lack of ownership. Clarity that uses metrics. That's what you said. And uh, percentage of escalation is one pointer that comes in when it comes to customer churn, right? So when you take that, what is the decision latency that we have taken? Decision has to be taken at when we find the gaps, right? And then keep updating on time to clarify. Then look at how is the customer feeling because of these gaps, right? Is the trust still being there, or we need to go back and bring back those trust is what we should look. I think most communication problems are really accountability problems, is what I think is my understanding. Because when you don't have accountability, you will still have the problems lying there to pick up by somebody else because it does not have a owner to it, right? So
Exactly.
that's what I think is a bigger challenge that we see in the AI era. What changes in how communication strategy goes to the teams?
Okay, I mean, what changes are there or what needs to be done?
What changes in are in and how we communicate strategy to the teams? We have to communicate a strategy to the teams. How do we communicate is what I wanted to, or what is the changes that we should look at when we share our strategy to the teams?
We should focus more on human connection, right? Human connection is the ultimate savior, because now we have enough data, so much information. There is a overflowing of data, facts, figures, but it's still, again, the human connection comes to the forefront, so that
Hmm.
can save the situation. Secondly, we have to be very observant about, because now today in the tech driven era, people have no time. People are short of time. Everything is rushing at an alarming pace. So there comes the role of more EQ into communication. The more incorporation of EQ must be incorporated in the way you respond, you interact, you give your feedback. And building the bridges, feedback loops are really useful.
Hmm.
Frequent check-ins and frequent reviews, frequent mentioning of and reviews and check-ins of OKRs, that is results. So these kind of things can be accelerated. So I think this is going to save the situation and this is going to help you a lot, even in the customer base also. And I mean, customer for the customers, this looks very alarming. They are also at the confused stage, and immediately the customer vanishes. As far as there is a communication gap, the apparent signal, apparent consequence that you can sense is the loss of customer. They are
Hmm.
vanishing, right? And because nobody has the time to come and check and what happened and how did it happen. So
Okay.
the key thing is to build upon human connection, to be more human.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. How do we prevent AI generated clarity that sounds good but creates misalignment?
Sure. So basically, again, I'll talk about the human connection part. You have to be a attentive listener. Attentive. You must be in attentive listening mode, in which you are able to comprehend things. You can comprehend the things, and you can delayer the situation. And also, rather than interpret, try to be minimalistic in expression but spot on expression. Very, you have to be very to the point. And frequent conversations can be frequented. For example, frequent coffee chats, frequent this and that. So these kind of things is are really helpful in the long run. So other main thing is, intentional effort should be there to build human connection. Intentional effort should be there to interact, to have real communication, real interactions. That is the only thing that can actually bring a fine line difference between AI and the human connection.
What should be a strategic narrative, including to survive real execution pressure? Because when you are in the execution, this one, there's a lot of pressure when it comes to uh, execution. So how do you look at this one?
Okay, so we can work upon our to the point expression. We can, for example, there is a formula bluff, that is bottom line upfront, right? So
Okay.
be minimalistic, but be deep.
Hmm.
And what you can do, for example, you are conveying something, so instead of over explanation, try to be spot on. Try to be very structured and selective in your expression. So first upon, just try to speak the one decision or one update that you are going to deliver in a form of agenda, or what, any update. Today we are going to talk about XYZ strategy. Then give three bullet points in support of your statement. It is going to bring more, it is more convenient, it is more resolution driven, and it is customer friendly. Then repeat the both the things together, and then ask question. I mean, then it should be a open space for asking question, for getting questions, so that clarifications happen then and there. So instead of over explanation, you should engage the people around you, and it should be an interactive exchange of questions more, in a question answer format, rather than one person giving uh, expression and one person delivering everything. I
What
hope.
you're saying is, yeah, what you're saying is use something called as a strategy on page approach, where we look at what are the outcomes, what are the constraints, what are the choices, how do we measure it, till that to the balance scorecard stuff, where we can look at financials, internal learning, okay, mention governance, cadence, and as you mentioned also, OKRs, check-ins are more important, is what in strategy fails when it's explained and wins when it is understood, is what you're saying in as many words. Because you need to understand strategy rather than explaining what exactly is the strategy. So that's what is the take that I am getting from what you are saying. Now, how should leaders communicate when a risk is involved and the room is intense? When there is a risk, the room is always tense, right? So your take on it.
So, in a tense atmosphere, in a conflicting situation, first you have to bring empathy in your conversation. You have to be very empathetic, and you must be a patient listener. Second thing, which is very apparent on the surface, sometimes when conflicting situations are there, our body language unknowingly, it goes in a bad format, right? You have to have a complete control over your body language. And when I say body language, what happens when we are, especially we are sharing critical feedback, So it happens automatically. There is a pointed finger pointing, which should not be done, which should be avoided to save the situation and to maintain the calm and composure. Because finger pointing, actually, it is a very authoritative, it is very autocratic body gesture. Instead of finger pointing, please use open palms. So, open palms is a very friendly gesture when you are explaining something. Because if you remember the cabin crew in aircraft, they always use open palms for instructions, for detailing the instructions. They never do finger pointing. This is one thing. Second thing, your facial gestures must be in complete control, because we don't realize, but yes, our facial muscles contract or expand or whatever happens, it is apparently visible. This is the cover page of our personality. So it should be in exact control. Relax yourself. If you are feeling that you are losing the cool, then please take a 2 minute for yourself. Go to green room, relax yourself, deep breathing, and then come back fresher with a new energy. So that is one thing. And be a patient listener, and emotional patterns should be included in your conversational patterns. Emotions should give a solid base to what you are saying. Another thing that you can incorporate is the mindful usage of voice intonation, especially pauses, right? Especially pauses, rising, falling tone. It makes a difference. So this is one thing. These are the things that I want to, I mean,
What
clarify.
you're saying is the pause. This one, I was seeing Steve Jobs' message on how you hire people. Something where after the question is asked, he takes a brief pause and he looks around and then he explains how he chooses people. Right. So that's the power of pause is what that came out when we were seeing that now. What language reduces defensiveness while still holding the bar? Because
Sorry.
you'll have to really look at, you are not defending, but you are holding something that is to be clarified or conveyed, right? So, how do you look at that?
Apparently, it is everything there.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, lesser volume, but deep reflection should be there. A depth should be reflected. So there are certain kinds of phrases that we can use. For example, instead of coining the word or coining the phrase like no, 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 I meant that, and that's why I did this, and that's why I circulated this document. Do not talk about too much I. The I should not be included too much. You should immediately shift from me to we, then and there, right? This is the one thing. Second, acknowledge people around you. When you acknowledge people around you and the atmosphere is tensed, so it helps the energy to shift in a very calmer tone. Acknowledge the people, their contribution, and that way you can shift the energy from being tense to a little relaxed tone. And lesser over explanation, more to the point, taking pauses in between, and engage people, ask their opinion, ask their viewpoints. It's not about that, yes, immediately you said a decision and you took a decision then and there. Involve people, listen to them, make them understood, let them feel that they are being acknowledged. So definitely these are the gestures that we can employ to calm down the situation. And regarding the feedback, critical feedback, which is a very scary scenario sometimes. So I use the the cushioning method, right? So
Hmm.
start, which we also call a feedback sandwich, and everybody knows that. So start with acknowledging people, then talk about, instead of you did it wrong, please specify the task, not the person.
Task.
Yeah, it should be very task. It should be task based. It should be outcome based, what you are expecting, and not the person based. So it should not be personalized, individuals should not be pinpointed. So start with acknowledging people, then talk about that this is the area that needs a little fine tuning, and here is a little scope of improvement, and that is how we can do it. So your leadership is reflected in the way you handle conflicts, basically. And then again, at last, cushion it with reassurance that yes, I know you can do it. And so this is a very important actually take, especially in conflicting situation. Your leadership skills are clearly reflected, and apparently people can sense that.
Now, what I think what you're saying is you should look at blameless language is what you're saying, and that is what you're. How now? Most of the discussions that we have is we have discussions, but we don't come into any conclusions, right? So there is a lot of meetings that happen. How do you communicate trade-offs without looking indecisive?
So basically, again, you have to maintain a calm composure and talk clearly about each and everything. Why this trade-off is happening, what is important. Talk about the outcome. So let the discussion be more focused about the outcome that you are trying to bring in, rather than any other thing. So stick to the decision that clearly lay out in the beginning that yes, this is how we are going to opt this one instead of this one. Talk about the outcome and impact, how it was earlier. The impact was XYZ. Now, by the application of this strategy is going to bring this much result, or definitely this much articulation that we are expecting this time. And clearly lay out the agenda before people, properly structure it in simple words, and engage people with you, ask their opinions, and let it be a open space for questioning and for clarification. Give them the chance to ask the different things or different layers of thoughts about that particular strategy.
Now, got it. Now, what you are saying is you need to bring that clarity in them, saying that this is what has to be looked at. The language, the calm language is a leadership superpower, is what you are saying. Calm and composed. You need to look at tie that incident to that moment, talk about how the risks are there, how audit and other evidences can come up, what are the concepts that you have to refer and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
that's one thing that I think. What is the fastest path executive presence without faking that confidence there, Pallavi?
Okay. So, first upon, a confident body language speaks a lot about you, but that is momentary. The main part is your communication, right? So, first upon, before speaking, start with the one liner decision or update that you are going to discuss, or you are going to bring to the table, or that needs to be done. And then structure your message for action. Talk about the problem, what is the impact of that problem. Then share some recommendations, some suggestions that you can incorporate. And then open the floor for questions from people. And make it very minimalistic, make it more visual oriented, and that's how it works really well. And you can close with complete ownership, that who is the deciding authority, why we are doing it. Clearly lay out the reasons for the change or whatever you want to incorporate there. Clearly lay out the deadlines, and also reassurance that yes, by doing this we are definitely going to expect this much, and reassure your faith in each unit of your team. So that's how you can close with complete ownership and accountability.
Very important point, I think, what you are saying. uh, what do you change first, the structure Okay, uh, or presence without faking confidence. Or sorry, what I mean to say is first the structure, voice, body language, or the content. What is that you will change first?
Body language, content, or structure? Definitely body language because it is on the surface signal.
Hmm.
And second thing that needs to be shifted is the mindset and the thoughts
Okay.
from me to we,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? So that is a apparent shift that needs to be there, in which let them feel that yes, somebody is there to handhold them if there is some trouble. So from me to we, and clarity of thoughts, clear structure of thoughts. So these are the things that are essential for reflecting the same emotion.
Well, we got that, Pallavi. Now, one way of looking is, or what should we stop explaining? Because at a situation we try to over explain, right? And how do we stop that over explaining to sound smart?
Okay. So for over explanation, definitely a pre-planning, proper preparation is essential before
Hmm.
any meeting or before any public speech or whatever. Please do a proper pre-planning and note down the bullet points
Yeah.
that that needs to be reflected
Communicate.
there. Yeah. Start with a simple sentence. This is start with a purpose, the clear one line agenda update. Today we are here to discuss XYZ strategy, and this is how we are going to handle it. And then give some supportive statements in favor of your statement, very pinpointed statement, to the point, spot on. It brings convenience, it is more reliable, more approachable. That's it. And again, then open the space for questions and let audience ask you the question instead of you holding the thing to explain each and everything, because it becomes very monotonous. So to break that monotony, let people ask you and let it be a free flow of spontaneous interaction between you and people around you or your team.
No, I think what I hear from you is, uh, tell your opinions, tell your considerations, tell your boundaries, and tell your challenges that are there. And over that, let them talk, give their suggestion, let them talk, and you note down each of the point. And if they are going misaligned somewhere, you again specify only the pointers that you are looking for. This is what is it, this is where we stand, this is what is the challenge that we are facing, and this is what I want support, is what I think is what you are saying, Pallavi. Executive presence is clarity under
Alignment.
constrained environment, right? So it is very, very clear. Now, how do you build a communication operating system inside an organization? Because some system has to be there for the communication to be happening around all the stakeholders in the organization.
Yeah. So definitely, more meetings, group discussions must be organized, and
Hmm.
it should be well structured in a week that you can divide the weekdays for certain kind of events or certain kinds of coffee chats or tea chats or whatever it is, high teas, right? So
Hmm.
frequent interactions, real conversations, and that is going to help you a lot. So I think real conversation should be brought more and more on different platforms, in which online sessions where you frequently interact with people. Now, sometimes a casual online session or offline session, online sessions are more convenient for people nowadays,
Hmm.
in which you actually just casually talk about and try to dig out how people are doing, what problems they are facing, or they want or they need any strategic help in somewhere, in some field or some domain. So frequent conversations and frequent discussions, frequent meetings can be called to definitely confront this situation, and it really works well. The main thing is intentional effort has to be done to design and to implement and to structure meetings and different communication layouts where people meet and they are able to understand each other more.
Got it. Now, what rituals make communication repeatable, right? Because the communication cannot be once done and it is done forever, right? Weekly business review, decision memos, customer escalations. What apart from these are any other things that you want to add as a ritual to make communication repeatable?
Frequent emails can be done. I mean, weekly emails can be done, and one day can be designated for the same so that people may know that yes, we are going to get updates regarding this. And also, yeah, business reviews, feedback loops are really important chains of information which you can use for providing other than feedback. It can be a good chain of information where you get the chance to share inputs across different domains. So that's how you can accelerate the real communication.
How do we enforce standards without creating bureaucracy? Because now many organizations, if you really look at, they have a bureaucracy saying that this person cannot to talk to this person, right? So that is a structure. Now how do we enforce certain standards without creating such bureaucratic approach, or your take on it?
Okay, so main thing is people should meet. Approachability can be worked upon here, and frequent compliance meetings, frequent discussions should be carried out in which people actually get the chance to meet each other and to bridge the gap of communication. Gaps should not be there. If there is a gap visible there, if anywhere communication is having a gap, so it doesn't work well. So that can only be done, and we can only resolve it by having frequent meetings at a higher level, frequent meetings in the different hierarchies, and that is really going to help us.
I think what you are saying is, you should have an operating system elements like artifacts, decision rights, mention some of the documentation information, concepts that can help us use metrics, fewer meet more. Sometimes you need more meetings, sometimes you need lesser meetings, is what you are saying. It
Definitely.
depends.
So it can be intensified as per the need.
Yeah, based on how the audience is picking up is what you are saying, that the meeting structure should change, the review number of meetings that are going to be having, that also has to be checked. Faster approvals, fewer rehearsals is what you're saying. So great communication is a system, right? Not just a personality, because one system built, it you will have to schedule it based on which you can get. How do you leaders communicate AI adoption to teams so that they don't panic or resist? Because currently most of them have embodied at least ChatGPT into their environments and they have started using it. Now, how do we tell teams that it is an enabler, and how do we pass that message, or communicate this message?
Yeah, sorry, I missed your question. Could you please reframe it?
Sir, how do leaders communicate AI adoption so teams don't panic or resist? That's the question.
Okay, I mean, how can they create a smooth communication?
How do they communicate that this adoption is not going to harm you in other sense, or so that they don't feel panic?
Okay, so again, the frequency of communication should be taken care of, right? Frequency, and you should prioritize quality of communication, right? So, prioritize quality over quantity, prioritize value, And frequency should be taken into consideration, because what happens, our brain works, how does our brain work? It identifies the regular patterns. Now, keeping in mind the same framework, whatever is in frequency, it will show you results. So, what I believe that yes, by having frequent conversation, the frequency should be intensified, whether the meetings are there or any sessions are there, conferences are there, and also prioritizing quality over quantity, prioritizing value. Try to make each meeting, each conference, each session as a value laden discussion, in which a certain handouts before it, it really helps. And also a little preparation strategy before each and every session or interaction, it is really helpful in the long run. So frequency and prioritizing quality, that is how it works magically well.
Okay. Okay. How do you say about a role change without triggering fear? Because most of the time when you say your role is getting changed or you are moving up to ladder or you've not got the role changed for people, is always a trigger for fear. So how do you look at this?
So first upon, if your role is changed, so first upon, be communicative uh, about your queries and doubts, and be clear. I mean, don't hesitate to ask, right? Whatever little doubt is there, so you must not hesitate to ask, because that is going to define your performance, that is going to impact your performance later on. Secondly, guided learning path is essentially very helpful in the long run, in which you can come across certain people who have worked in that particular role. You can take their help. You can have a frequent communication with them. So regarding communication, the only thing is frequency, and be adaptive. Be ready to learn, be ready to skill up if it is needed. Be ready to scale up your knowledge, and associate with the people who have been there in the same role. Associate with the community who can help you in that. So definitely, with every change in life, we need to adapt. And for adaptation, for being adaptive, we have to sometimes learn, unlearn, de-learn, relearn, learn, and reframe. So that is how it is going to help you, according to me.
I'll come to the last question that I have, Pallavi, for today. What policies should be communicated early to avoid compliance issues? Any things that are there that, because uh, when you talk about communication, people should know what is the compliance they should follow, right? And how does that policies refer to them, whether it is a leave policy or any kind of policies that you have to communicate. So they have to follow certain communication process also, right? Process, you have some person to report to some person, but you cannot go directly. That's one way of looking at communication. You have a team to team meeting, but you cannot go cross LOBs. That is one way of communication. So how do you look at this way we want to avoid compliance issues?
Okay, so first upon, clear-cut agenda must be included in the discussions, and frequent reminders, frequent check-ins, frequent reviews. They will be really helpful in compliance of the things, and a smooth communication system must be there, in which people are approachable, accessible. They are not elusive, and there must be a proper, a smooth communication system within the organization, where people do not feel hesitate to approach for any doubts or queries. So frequent reminders, frequent meetings, frequent handouts, layouts, so these are really helpful, and these are really conducive in the same.
Pallavi, thank you for that. I have taken some notes. I just want to have that take pointers that I want to say as takeaways before we conclude. Communication is business in control. It drives decision in speed, is what we say. Lowers rework and reduces risk, is what we want to look at. AI era rewards leaders who can turn complexity into choices, measurable pointers, and take ownership. So, high trust communication improves adoption and incident outcomes. That's where they look at. Executive presence is structured like bluff, fewer words, stronger measures is what we want to look at. Career growth gets accelerated when you have quality, impact, and aligned stakeholders faster. That's what we wanted to take as takeaways for this session of 45 minutes that we've been now. Pallavi, any pointers you have to tell as a last minute pointer before we conclude with the closing pointers, Pallavi?
Yeah, so the only thing what we need to work upon as a unit of an organization is to have complete ownership and accountability within ourselves of our role, of our specific framework. So if accountability is strong, the communication is strong, and the organization really works well, and you can definitely expect better productivity in future.
Thank you for that, Pallavi. If you have to reach to Pallavi, I've scrolled it and you can scan the scanner where you can reach Pallavi on her LinkedIn account. This is the link that I am scrolling it down for you to connect to Pallavi. Do follow us. This podcast has been streamed to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram while we discuss on these platforms. Pallavi, thank you for being here. The episode lands on one topic. AI can accelerate output and only bring, but humans only bring, can bring creative, shared meaning and commitment, is what we are saying. When leaders communicate with structure, metrics, and calm authority, teams execute faster, and customers feel better about it. And thanks for bringing up these practical and repeatable methods to our audience, right? So thank you for joining us, and please be connected with us. And thank you, audience. Thank you, Pallavi, for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me here, and I'm so glad to be a part of this community. And thank you so much, everyone, for
Thank
listening.
you.